Good afternoon. Today I will be presenting Chapter 9, B2B Business Models. B2B business models focus exclusively on transactions between companies. This chapter in particular talks about four B2B-based business models. These are sourcing, sales, supportive collaboration, and service broker. This business model typology is referred to in the following as 4SNet business model and presents an overview of the most relevant B2B business models on the Internet. But in this context, it is important to consider that a rigid and clear separation is not always possible because companies often choose strategies that follow several of these models at once. So these are the four models: that's sourcing, sales, supportive collaboration, and service broker. To summarize, sourcing is initiation and/or settlement of direct B2B business transactions from buyer to seller. Sales is the settlement of business transactions from seller to buyer. And supportive collaboration supports collaborative value generation, research and development, production, and sale. And service brokers the support of B2B business transactions and provides information and marketplaces of third parties. So the first one is the sourcing business model. So this consists of the initiation and/or settlement of B2B business transactions from buyer to seller. The aim of this model is to handle business transactions of procurement management by means of the Internet and requires a direct service relationship between the buyer and seller. It has two approaches: the private B2B exchange, one-to-one, and the buy-side B2B exchange, which is one-to-many, as shown in the diagram on the right. So for buyers, it is not only crucial that traded products and services are supplied quickly, reliably, and in the usual quality, but also that they are able to react flexibly to unexpected changes in demand. Usually set up for frequent purchasing, the setup of a private B2B exchange is usually not worthwhile for individualized services with low repurchasing rates. Private one-on-one B2B exchanges are widely used in the B2B e-business context in order to support intensive supplier relationships. And the establishment of a private B2B exchange solution generally leads to long-term relationships between customers and suppliers. The buy-side B2B exchange is characterized by a one-to-many relationship between the buying companies and other vendors or suppliers. Buying companies can implement such supplier relationships by establishing a buy-side e-marketplace. The purchasing company builds an e-marketplace on their own server and invites different suppliers to quote on open supply requests. This variant often follows reverse auctions that are used to choose the one supplier with the cheapest quotation. So like the way it works is the way they source is they for this one they find the one that's cheapest. Only major corporations use this type of buy-side B2B exchange. And an alternative version of this is building a multi-supplier catalog. So this is the aggregated value chain of the sourcing business model. There are five main stages: the requisition, the search provider, select provider, product, order, and then the order processing. And these are the core assets and core competencies. The core assets are the integrated procurement system, provider network, and IT platform. And the core competencies are buying know-how, negotiation skills, and data processing skills. Next is the sales business model. So this involves the initiation and settlement of direct B2B business transactions from the seller to the buyer. And the aim of this is to handle transactions of sales through the Internet. And unlike the source model, the selling entity initiates the direct relationship between buyers and sellers. So here's a diagram of it. So it also describes a one-to-one relationship between the seller and the buyer. And the focus is not on the procuring company, but the supplying company. The B2B seller seeks to establish a long-term, intensive business relationship with its major customers. Sell-side B2B exchanges consist of sell-side e-marketplaces and B2B storefronts. A sell-side e-marketplace is a web-based market platform that offers a seller's products or services to a number of potential business customers. And the aggregated value chain also has five main stages, as shown here. There's key account management, channel relationship, sales execution, billing, and after-sales management. In the stage of key account management, companies first need to identify the existing and relevant customer segments in the market. Based on this, they can then select the customer segments that are supposed to be addressed and build their respective sales platform according to the pursued customer relationship strategy. The successful setup of the sales platform provides the basis for electronic order handling and the subsequent delivery of goods or provision of services. After the delivery of goods or service provision, the billing takes place in terms of classic invoicing or by means of electronic bank transfer or direct debit. Finally, companies use after-sales management to increase customer loyalty. And here it is again. The most important core assets of the sales business model not only include a large and well-established customer base as well as the development of a broad key account network to strengthen the bargaining power and establish a popular brand, but also particularly the applied distribution structure and IT platform. Depending on the sales strategy, it is particularly important to select the most economic type of sales business model and realize the needs of an appropriate IT platform. And here the core assets and core competencies. The core assets are customer base, a key account network, brand development, distribution structure, and an IT platform. The core competencies, again, negotiation skills, pricing skills, and the setup and operating of technical infrastructure. Next is the supportive collaboration business model. This consists of collaborative value generation and compromises and compromises the areas of collaborative R&D, production, and sale. The focus of attention is the cooperation and more precisely the joint effort of several companies in the areas of research and development, production, and sale. There are direct relationships among the parties involved, and an intermediary is usually not involved. And here's a diagram of it. So this subcategory collaborative R&D refers to the joint development of new products or service offerings that are usually realized by establishing an appropriate corporate network. Such innovative networks are not only a widespread approach to use the company's capacities in a joint effort, but also help to develop uncertain ventures. For instance, in modern e-business techniques in the automotive or pharmaceutical industry. The second subcategory of this model is collaborative production, and its aim is the joint production of goods and services supported by e-business technologies. In this context, an integrated supply chain of various partner networks is also a collaborative production approach. The aim of such partner networks is to optimize the production processes, for example, by means of just-in-time production and by integrating suppliers in the production process. And the final subcategory is collaborative sale. This business model describes the practice of several industry players that establish a common sales exchange platform and operate it cooperatively, and there's no further intermediary involved. Here is the aggregated value chain. So the most important core assets of the supportive collaboration business model include an IT platform that is adapted to the individual needs of the respective actors and the collaboration network that is required to establish long-term cooperation. An efficient and target-oriented allocation of collaboration resources is necessary to efficiently use synergetic effects. One of the most important competencies in the supportive business model is the negotiation competence in order to conduct negotiations in an efficient and effective manner. Collaborative companies also need to have a cooperation competence and particularly a highly developed integration competence in order to use supportive collaborations efficiently. And here's a picture of the diagram. And lastly is the service broker business model. This B2B business model supports B2B business transactions by providing information in marketplaces. And it involves third-party providers and intermediaries, unlike the others. But there's no direct relationship between the companies that eventually make deals and conduct transactions. They're only connected to each other via the corresponding intermediary. The business model of B2B service broker compromises the categories of e-information and e-marketplaces. Here's a picture of the diagram. The subcategory e-information describes the provision of pure business information portals. Valuable business information such as product directories, retailer overviews, as well as general or specific market information or industrial information is provided to respective business clients. A trading exchange function between buyers and sellers is not available, as the service is limited to selling information. Unlike e-information, e-marketplaces do not only offer information, but also access to products and services. An e-marketplace is an electronic trading exchange operated by intermediary companies to match potential sellers and buyers. The independent e-marketplaces are usually publicly available to companies. Interested companies, the buyers and the sellers, meet on a common electronic platform to trade goods and services, many to many. And here's a picture of the aggregated value chain. The most important core assets of the service broker business model are not only the provided service broker content and the customized IT platform, but also particularly the customer base. The most important core competencies of the service broker business model, besides the setup and operating of the technical infrastructure, are particularly the competencies with regard to the assortment design and customer acquisition or retention. And here's a picture of the core assets and core competencies. The core assets are the customer base, the content, the brand, networks, and IT platform. And the core competencies are product proposal, customer loyalty, and installation and establishment of technical infrastructure. The end. Thank you.